Hi everyone, this is Dakota McLean, and here is your tip of the week. As you saw by the title of the video, we're going to be talking about how to hit out of a greenside bunker. This is the one thing that I notice a lot of times whenever I'm out here doing a lesson with someone, is they're always asking how to hit out of the sand whenever you're around the green. The biggest thing that I notice is that people are trying to make contact with the ball first. Now that is the incorrect way of doing it whenever you're around the bunker and around the green. So you want to make sure that you're trying to hit a little bit behind the ball, and so that way the sand is going to loft that ball out of the bunker and onto the green. That is the correct way of doing it, but I'm going to show you a couple tips that is going to help you out. First thing that we're going to talk about is the actual stance. So when you're in the sand, you'll notice that whenever you move, the sand moves as well. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you want to make sure that you're digging into the sand. So if you take a look at my feet, first thing that you're going to do, you're going to shimmy back and forth to where it feels like it's digging down into the ground enough so that way you're not moving back and forth. So the next thing that we're going to look at is that you're going to try and make sure that you're not moving too much, and the one way to do that is you want to make sure that you have a little bit more of the weight on your left side, so that way whenever we're taking our back swing, we're trying to make sure that we're staying on this left side throughout the entire swing. This will help you so that way if we're trying to set up in the middle of our stance and our weight is evenly distributed on both feet, what happens a lot of times is that we start to see people swing back this way and they start to sway back to the right side, and then when they follow through, they're swaying this way. So having that weight on that left leg is a great way for you to make sure that you're keeping your head and your body still, so that way you're not moving whenever you're in the sand. Next thing that we're going to talk about is the actual ball position and then also the club head position. So first thing that you're going to want to look at is, based off of the last tip that we talked about, we're going to put our weight forward, so that means that we have to actually move the ball forward in our stance slightly. You'll see when I'm setting up for the ball right here, if I put my weight forward, it shows that my head is slightly behind the ball, but once I start to bring my weight forward, my head is now over top of the golf ball. So that is the reason why we want to make sure we have the ball a little bit forward. And we're trying to hit down into the golf ball so that way it can scoop out. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the actual club head. So when we look at the club head, you don't want to make sure that your face is square to the target. So what I mean by that is that when we're setting up, I don't want this part right here to be digging into the sand. I like to compare it to skipping a stone across water. So the very bottom of this club that you see right here, it has a very big bottom. Now what that does is that it allows you to bounce off of that sand rather than digging in. So if I were to set up and have it dig into the ground like this, it is going to dig into the sand, and it's going to feel like a chunk almost, so it's going to dig right into the sand and you're not going to be able to get it out of the sand. Now if I were to have it like this, it's going to skip right off of that sand, so that way you're not digging into the sand as much. So it should look a little bit like this. So when I'm setting up, my weight's forward, my face is slightly open, so that way I'm using this bottom of the club when I'm taking my swing. So I wanted to make sure that I'm bouncing it right off of that sand. So it should look a little bit like this whenever you're trying to hit off the sand. It won't dig in as much. It just bounces right off of that sand. One of the last tips that we're going to talk about is the swing. I have said this repeatedly in the last videos that I've done. Practice makes perfect. So you want to make sure that you're practicing. It's all touch and feel when it comes to around the green. So when you're taking your swing, you want to make sure that we're setting up the way we have been. So we want to make sure that we're digging into the ground, the ball's slightly forward, my weight's forward, and then my club head is slightly open. So it's pointing a little bit to the right. So when I'm doing that, I would draw this imaginary line behind the ball, okay? So you can't do this obviously when you're out there golfing, but when you're out here practicing, try this out because this will help you whenever you're trying to take your swing. So whenever you're setting up, you want to try and make sure that you're hitting on this line, which is about an inch behind the ball, okay? The sand is going to allow that ball to shoot out of the bunker. So that is our goal. So whenever we're setting up, we're trying to make sure that our weight's forward. We're trying to make sure that we're hitting that line right there, because then that's going to start digging down into the ground, or actually in the sand. It's going to loft that ball out of the sand. So you want to do that a couple times when you're out here practicing. You just want to make sure that we're hitting into that line. That's the goal whenever you're trying to do it. So whenever you're trying to do it, you want to make sure that you're taking a semi full swing, and you want to make sure you're following through. I have so many people trying to dig down into the ground, trying to do that, and they stop their swing. That's actually going to not really get the ball out of the sand. So you want to make sure that you're taking a full swing and following through. Even if it's a very, very short bunker shot, you want to make sure you're always following through. Just like how you would if you're hitting a driver. We would never stop the swing right here. Always follow through. I hope this video has helped. And I know you're probably wondering, Dakota, we haven't seen you hit a golf shot yet. So I wanted to demonstrate this when we are getting ready to hit a bunker shot. I want to put all that stuff together so that way we can hit a nice, good bunker shot when you're around the green. So when I'm setting up, digging into the ground, ball's slightly forward, weight is forward, and then I'm also opening the face a little bit, having my imaginary line. I'm just trying to keep my head over the top of the ball. What that'll do is that'll loft that ball out of the sand and onto the green. And if you do that correctly, you shouldn't have any problem whenever you're around the green. I want to thank everybody. Happy Memorial Day, and I will see everyone next week.